the countdown, the push-up, the free roll, the shoot, the hay bales, the back hills, the finish line, the rush, the ride, the thrill, midnight rolls, 2 minutes to beat, 100 years of dedicated alumni mentors, volunteers, sweepstakes champions, mechanics and designers, pushers, drivers, endlessly improving, winning together. One sport like no other, one tradition like no other. Buggy, on a roll since 1920. Welcome. My name is Will Weiner, and in a typical year, I'm sitting up in the WRCT tent at the top of Hill 2 right by the finish line during race day, instead of in whatever weird Zoom background this is. But here we are, it's 2021, and while Buggy isn't able to happen in the same way it normally does this year, we still want to celebrate our favorite sport. So I'm going to be serving as the MC of this virtual celebration of Buggy that includes race day highlights, as well as some fun other stuff, including Lego Buggy races, a Scotch and soda Buggy sketch, interviews, and more. So sit back, grab a donut, and relax as Buggy is loading. So what is Buggy? Why do we do it? Well, let's go behind the scenes.
You don't go anywhere else, any other school, and find something like this. You put a small person into this really fast tube, and then you push them around hills.
The best way I can describe it is like if you're in a roller coaster and you're driving it yourself. It's just an amazing thrill. I'm here for the adrenaline rush. Something that only like such a small fraction of people in the entire world can say that they've done is Buggy, and even then like a smaller fraction is like driving. And it's like a thrill like unlike anything else.
There's no way you can do this by yourself. You really need to have surround yourself with a lot of strong people, with the mechanics, with the drivers, with the pushers. It takes a lot of organization, all that stuff, and it's just like a lot of people coming together to do something that's really cool and interesting.
There's a lot still to do. Like, we're still building the new Buggy for the next year. We're still working on the design of that. Pushers, like, this is going to be their first time ever pushing the new recruits. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of teaching to do, a lot of training, but people are ready. Set!
I think it's just weird enough and just cool enough that like it brings people out, it forces people to work together, it forces people to do things they never thought before.
And now, it's time for the first of our 4 LEGO Grand Prix Buggy races. Who will advance to the finals? We're going to have to find out.
Hello and welcome to the first International LEGO Buggy Grand Prix of Carnegie Mellon University. Representing 12 countries from all over the world, these buggies will feature innovation and design like we have never seen before. Today's race consists of 3 prelims followed by a finals race, and let's jump right in. In Lane 1, representing Thailand, Laverne. Lane 2, from the Swiss Alps, Gwendolyn. Coming in from Dubai, Nelly in Lane 3. And last but not least, Gertrude in Lane 4, representing Spain. 3, 2, 1, ready, set, race.
Bring the action.
Congratulations, Dubai. We'll see you in the finals later this afternoon. And to those of you watching from home, stay tuned for Heat 2.
Now, let's take a look at a very abridged history of the 100-plus years of Buggy in this wonderful clip produced by my co-broadcaster and the author of the History of Buggy series, Brian Arsham.
100 years of Buggy history in 246.8.
1920, buggy begins with 4 wheels, 2 getting swapped, and 2 team members who swap pusher driver duties. 21, a fish, a trolley, and a rickshaw lose to a skeleton. 22, it's a tie. 23, 4 pushers. 24, we start at Maggie mode. 25, a Capsig Dynasty is born. 26, 6 finalists compete. 27, 5 pushers with their hand on the push bar. 28, Fruit Street appears. 29, so long, Campus Week. 1930, Spring Carnival and a Wednesday race. 31, DTD sweeps Pit. 32, Beta's 3-wheeler. 33, Sub 250. 34, Capsig Copycat. 35, Sabotage. 36, Capsig's Final Reign. 37, Our White Whale. 38, Pika's 12-foot Ladybug. 39, 4 in a row. 1940, Sorority Baby Buggies. 41, Capsig makes it 6. 42, Jalopies. 43, 44, and 45, World War II. 46, we're back as Capsig gets taken out by Pika. 47, Flying Pork Barrel. 48, DTD by a nose. 49, DTD by another nose. 1950, 2 Buggy Heats. 51, Brakes. 52, 240 No More. 53, B-Teams. 54, Frozen Bearings, Thrown Wheels, and Spinouts. 55, The Golden Goose is born. 56, Track Champs take Buggy. 57, Tau Delta Phi crashes hard. 58, a Tuesday 6th for ATO. 59, pacing and timing errors cost ATO a 7. 1960, Beer Kegs on the course. 61, SAE's bike takes 3rd. 62, the Golden Goose wins one last time. 63, Beware the Shark. 64, 4 wheels are better than 3. 65, consolation finals and a buggy book. 66, the Curse of Beta Sigma Rho. 67, formal rolls begin. 68, collusion. 69, independence on the fringe. 1970, flying doors in April. 71, buggy safety changes forever. 72, Little Sisters. 73, here come the Russians. 74, Copybookie gets booted up. 75, angry mobs in the rain. 76, sweepstakes chairwoman. 77, who let the dogs out? 78, goodbye consolation final. 79, women. 1980, D teams. 81, Black Magic Sunday. 82, the 3-wheel era begins. 83, B team shenanigans. 84, the battle of the basement. 85, sabotage again. 86, fire. 87, race place win controversially. 88, the king takes a leap in the snow. 89, the king is dead. Long live 3-wheelers. 1990, noses apart. 91, Pika and Spirit again. 92, so many rerolls. 93, the crash. 94, it's Schadenfreude for Schadenfreude. 95, Pika's rules advantage. 96, a mix of finals DQs causes blowouts. 97, explosions and protests. 98, cow stealth and a phantom transition DQ. 99, Wonder Boys and Sunday Joys. 2000, pneumatic chisels are a basket case. 01, Fringe's clean sweep on Zooters. 02, Pika starts a streak. 03, Beta and Fringe go 10 rounds. 04, KKG and Pika B. 05, flips and curve push bars. 06, a Pika double. 07, green wheels. 08, epic duels, records, and Pika Buggy. 09, swap wheels while SDC ROM. 2010, watch your propane. 11, 49.7. 12, a new Apex. 13, when is a race not a race? 14, Buggy Slalom. 15, Superman and Centipede. 16, CIA's women's double. 17, 202 and 223. 18, no malice, no problem. 19, 8 in a row. 2020 quarantine. 21, social distance.
And now, Tisbert Sketch Comedy, a subtroupe of Scotch and Soda, presents the first segment of their history of Buggy.
Welcome to Tisbert Sketch Comedy's visual history of Buggy. Today we'd like to take you on a buggy through time. The history of Buggy stretches back far into our past. The pre-Bronze Age. Modern accounts aren't completely sure who started Buggy, but we're pretty sure it was one Ooga Boogie. Using the most recent advancements in forensic science, we were able to form an accurate recreation of what the first buggy ride might have looked like. Of course, the practice of buggy did not truly catch on until the Victorian era, when the Queen requested that Scottish orphans be placed into barrels and rolled down the streets of industrial London, to the entertainment of many British gentlefolk. This practice continues in Britain to this day. It wasn't until much later that the practice entered the United States thanks to the work of a plucky young visionary, Andrew Garfield from the Spider-Man movies.
And now it's time for our second LEGO Grand Prix Buggy race. Who will advance to the finals?
In lane 1, from Brazil, Edwina. In lane 2, representing the Tulips of Holland, Daisy. Lane 3, Suzette from Ethiopia. And in lane 4, coming from Singapore, Loretta. 3, 2, 1, ready, set, race.
Bring the action.
And Edwina from Brazil brings home the win in the cleanest race we've seen today. See you in a few for our next heat.
We're now going to take you back in time with some race day footage from all the way back in the 1950s and 60s. And now, Tisbert Sketch Comedy, a subtroupe of Scotch and Soda, continues with the history of Buggy.
In the last 100 years, Buggy has transformed in many ways. Let's explore the great innovators in buggy history and the way they've transformed Pittsburgh's favorite pastime. During the women's suffrage movement, there was a great push to introduce the first female buggy driver. Margaret Buggyton took the lead. Sadly, she was unable to compete, as her ankle was exposed while she was climbing into the vehicle. She was arrested before Hill won. While she never actually made it into the vehicle, Buggyton paved the way for decades of feminist progress on the rolling hills of time. Moving forward, the 1960s was a time of great social upheaval. Jackson Buggyson exemplified this period of radical change. At 5'2", Thompson held the record for tallest buggy driver of all time, and still holds it to this day. This legacy of innovation has continued into the modern era, when Skylar Bugstein became the first and only person to compete in a Toyota Camry. She won. Here's to you, great innovators in buggy history.
Assistant Sweepstakes Chair Natalie Herman is now going to take us behind the scenes as she interviews Tom Corbett, who's an ETC faculty member who led a class that created the Buggy All-Stars virtual game, which was made in honor of Buggy's 100th anniversary.
Providing just a little bit of background on how you were first approached to do a Buggy game back in, I guess, 2019 it would have been, and why you guys decided to do a game on Buggy.
Sure. So with the 100th anniversary of Buggy coming up back in 2019, the Ideate group was asked to create some Buggy-related experiences, and they did things like 3D printing little Buggy cars, and somebody had the idea of what if we did a virtual reality version of Buggy? And so I have a class that is all about a semester-long game project, and decided that this would be a great opportunity to have a bunch of people work on one project instead of splitting into smaller teams. We made it about, obviously, halfway through the semester before the world shut down. And so while we were originally targeting virtual reality, we suddenly realized nobody was going to want to share a headset with one another. And so we had to pivot and make a web-based version. And so from that came Buggy All-Stars.
Awesome. So before kind of starting that process, were you familiar with Buggy, and was the team familiar with Buggy, or was there kind of a part of that class that was learning what is Buggy before you could even start the game?
Yeah, no, hardly anybody in the class had ever been involved with Buggy before. I was only aware that it was an event that existed and had parking restrictions on the weekends. We ended up getting a couple of people who were connected to Buggy in order to help us. Our lead artist had some involvement. I think maybe his sister was involved. And we also brought somebody onto the design team who had participated in Buggy before. We realized that there was a large chunk of information we just knew nothing about how the sport worked. And so bringing on subject matter experts was important.
Since you released the game, have you made any changes or upgrades, or are there any plans to make changes or upgrades to the game in the future?
Absolutely. We are, once again, this semester, I'm offering the same class, and we are building the sequel. We're making Buggy All-Stars 2, Bigger, Badder, Buggier. I think what we learned from last time is that we wanted to make something that was a little more arcadey. Last year, we were going for something that was relatively authentic to the experience and had a couple of arcade-like elements like speed boosts. This year, we really wanted to lean into the fun aspect of it. And so we're creating more of kind of a Mario Kart style game around this. We're changing up the tracks so that the Shenley track actually will loop. I'm also working right now, or we're working right now on a number of other tracks, including we have one where we want to go across the Pausch Bridge and down the Gates Spiral, which I think anybody who's been on the Gates Spiral has just thought, if I can only get an office chair. So we're looking at creating different Carnegie Mellon themed levels and bringing the Buggy into that. I think it's a great way for the students to kind of bring some of their experiences into the game. And yeah, we're excited about it. We should be releasing by the end of the semester. In our version, we're going to end by crossing the bridge over Panther Hollow and towards the museum, and that's where our ending line is going to be. We're also introducing more ridiculous things like the Pittsburgh pothole bus might be making an appearance in this one as well as a ramp. So the more that we can do to kind of integrate those fun little elements and make it entertaining, I think the better. For me, the real joy of this is being able to see the students get the opportunity to work on a much larger project like this and be responsible for their own work. That in a lot of ways, this is less of a class and more of an indie game studio. Everybody has a role. Everybody has to interview for their role. Everybody has to perform that role. It's not like a typical group project where a couple people might do some work and a couple people might, be a little busy elsewhere. Everybody here is working on this like it's their job. They're getting experience that is relevant to if they do want to go into the game industry. And yeah, for the second year in a row, we've stood up an indie game studio and we seem to be on track to deliver something fun at the end.
And it's once again time for our third LEGO Grand Prix buggy race. Who is going to advance to the finals?
Lane 1 from Japan, Angelica. In Lane 2 from Niagara Falls, Canada, Alicia. Lane 3, Bridget from South Africa. And in Lane 4 from Greece, Janelle. 3, 2, 1, ready, set, race.
Bring the action.
Ooh, let's take a look at that crash. Congratulations, Canada. It's on to the finals. See you all in a few.
What could be better than a mascot race between our beloved Scotty and one of the pirate pierogies? Well, it happened. Here's the highlight.
Oh, here they are.
Oh, here we are.
There is a buggy.
It is a buggy race, ladies and gentlemen.
We've got the pierogi versus the Scotty dog.
And they're off. And let's see, who is that?
It's Phoenix. The pierogi is pushing Apex's Phoenix, and that is Bungerous Crate being pushed by Scotty.
Let's try to see. I'm trying to see which pierogi that is. I'm trying to see the back of the hat.
I believe that is red.
Red is.
There is more than one pierogi?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe that it's either. It's got to be the ketchup or onion.
I think that's the C.
They have names.
Or it might be Oliver. And here we are, and it looks like the pierogi is in front right now. Scotty.
They're getting close. Scotty's picking it up at the end here.
And let's see, it's going to be a photo finish. Scotty
dog wins.
Oh my! The familiarity, the Scotty dog been scouting races all year long to come against that, and that's a C on the back.
It's an S on the back.
Oh, that's Sauerkraut Soul. And now we join Michael Darcy, president of the Buggy Alumni Association, along with Tisha Girdhar, who is the chair of sweepstakes, and they share some of their thoughts on the future of Buggy.
From the BAA perspective, our mission is team organization agnostic. So we're trying to help out all the organizations and to see that spirit, which really was started, hand in hand between students and alumni to reach out and support each other better to keep the sport growing and sustaining.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also this year, just because it's such a weird year, we've really been depending on the alumni support a lot more than we normally would. So it's been really nice and exciting to hear your guys' perspectives and opinions and kind of figuring out what any changes we make, what impacts any changes we make this year may have for the future of Buggy and the repercussions of changing any rules for this year and stuff like that. So it's been really useful to kind of I felt very fortunate to have that support from the alumni, especially this year, I think, because I think we need it more than we would in a normal year.
Yeah, and of course, that we're all really excited to help, and sometimes maybe a little too excited, but it's been awesome to get the chance to participate again. Even though a lot of us aren't local to Pittsburgh anymore. Having those opportunities is what the BAA is all about. So,
and I do really hope that this kind of cooperation kind of continues moving forward. This is obviously a weird year, but I think that a lot of that stuff that we've started and those relationships that we've started to kind of build within students as well as with students alumni, I'm kind of excited to see how that carries over into a more normal year. How do you think that having those robotic buggies fully functional will change the sport and the way that we think about the sport?
Well, it's really interesting because a lot of improvements in technology are sort of how do I want to put it? they descend on everybody in a surprise. A team will drop 5 seconds, or you see some kind of new shell design that hasn't been around before, and everybody races to kind of figure it out. This is quite different because historically a driver is required to be inside of the buggy to operate it. So the students and the culture and community that they've grown has a really important decision to make. How they'll change the rules and the competition of buggy to accommodate more and more robotic teams. It's definitely, in my opinion, in the spirit of buggy. You have the athletes, the pushers that are going to be doing their part. You have people that are performing the same concepts as driving, but very abstracted. They're teaching this computer how to drive. And it's a race. So I'm definitely interested to see how future students tackle this, whether there'll be some kind of unification of robotic races and human-driven races, or whether we'll make another class of racing. I think both options, and I'm sure there are others, are very promising. There's a lot of good ways to work it in.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting challenge, I think, to figure out how to keep things fair. And I agree with you, absolutely. Like, robotic buggies are absolutely in the spirit of buggy, and it's all about kind of like CMU students coming together and doing this kind of weird, strange, awesome thing. And so I think it'll be a really cool challenge to see how to tackle that, and how students in the future will. Yeah.
Are there any other issues or interesting changes that you think might happen in buggy? I think this is probably the biggest one in the next 5 to 10 years, but.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's been a lot of talk about women's versus men's races and how to make that more inclusive, but also how to make it more fair, because historically women's races have happened much earlier in the morning and had less turnout. And I think that that's something that kind of comes up every year, but no one quite knows how to solve the problems yet. So we've been kind of, conversations keep happening about it, and I'm kind of curious to see if or when anything changes kind of with regards to that. Because I think that it is a fair concern, but it's also a difficult challenge to overcome and figure out from the student's perspective. So I think that one will definitely also be something that comes up. But yeah,
we've talked about that one before too. I also think this is a very promising direction for the students to take, and that there's a lot of potential to change buggy in an interesting and exciting way that makes it more dynamic and more inclusive.
This is it. It's time for the final LEGO Grand Prix buggy race. Who will be the champion? We're about to find out.
With Canada, the UAE, and Brazil racing, it's going to be a close one. 3, 2, 1, ready, set, race.
Bring the action.
And there you have it. The United Arab Emirates wins it all. Congratulations. That's it for today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you next year.
And now, the final installment of Tisbert's History of Buggy.
Like sands through the hourglass, the mists of time sweep ever forward, and Buggy is no exception. While we can't know for sure the changes that will come to this great sport, we can wildly speculate about the years to come. In the future, technological innovations will lead to the development of automated drivers and the elimination of human error. Eventually, the buggies themselves will be automated. Maybe even the audience could be fully automated, finally allowing their human masters to sleep past 7 a.m. on Carnival weekend. For now, this remains but a dream, but one day, it could be our reality. Past, present, and future. Buggy is always there for us, a companion through the good times and the bad. Perhaps we are so drawn to Buggy because it serves as a reflection of ourselves, our need for freedom, our drive for innovation, and our dreams of going down a hill really fast.
And next up, we have a special announcement and a sneak peek from Dia Nuxel, chairwoman of Sweepstakes 2020, and Chris Stengel, co-founder of the Buggy Alumni Association and current president of the Alumni Association Board.
I am Chris Stengel, and I've been involved with Buggy for quite a long time. I've never missed a spring carnival, never missed a Buggy since graduating, and shortly thereafter was part of the group that formed the CMU Buggy Alumni Association, which is an amazing organization designed to support current students in Buggy as well as preserve the sport. It's doing some amazing things.
I'm Dia. I have been involved since my freshman year, so that would have been 2015. I was on Fringe, and then while I was getting my master's, I was chair of Sweepstakes this past year. With generous contributions from alumni over the years, particularly those that contributed toward the centennial, we will soon install a 15-foot mural in the Cohen University Center. When we were designing this, we really wanted to encapsulate Buggy in kind of a visual display on campus, particularly to show off one of CMU's oldest traditions to prospective students and people who are visiting campus for the first time who have never really experienced anything like it before.
Buggy is a unique race, only done at Carnegie Mellon.
Kind of a cross between a soapbox derby and a relay race.
It's brutal and it's a spectacle and it's amazing. That's why the big crowd's always there at the finish line.
It's one of kind of the backbones of kind of CMU tradition. That really brings in so many students and alumni and faculty even in recent years.
It is a competition that requires a perfect combination of technical skills, athletic skills, and social skills to have a winning organization.
It's a huge effort to just get the Buggy around the course, and it involves just so many people across the university, and then of course Buggy also has a very strong alumni backing.
I loved it. It's still CMU. Jumbotrons are something that the Buggy Alumni Association actually brought to Buggy. They're in two places, and it's a big part of what they do with the donations that they collect every year. But prior to that, you would see like if you ever noticed on like a golf competition, like as soon as a golfer goes through, a bunch of the crowd tries to move over to another hole. That's how Buggy used to be for the crowds, like because there was no Jumbotron, right? So people would try to catch the start, and then they would like sprint up Shenley Hill to see if they could watch the downhill portion and the chute, and then run back to the finish line. So the crowd was always shifting around. But then since we got the Jumbotrons, not so much anymore. I believe that the 2-minute barrier can be breached, but it has not yet. You've got greater access to lighter, more rigid materials. Rigidity is important.
I feel like the sport of Buggy hasn't had a breakthrough on the scale of like switching to Zooter wheels in a while, but I think that could still happen. I don't think it's going to be necessarily with the shape of the Buggy, but I think we're a little overdue for a breakthrough that'll get us under that 2-minute barrier.
I agree.
Interested in becoming a lifetime member of the Buggy Alumni Association? Make projects like the Jumbotron, the Buggy Wall, and so much more possible.
And of course, it wouldn't be Buggy without some bloopers.
With a year on Buggy now, you don't need me anymore.
Oh, this guy's a chiseled Adonis streaking uphill one.
Once again, Mamba is just... Before we officially close this virtual Buggy celebration, we want to thank you all again for supporting Sweepstakes. We are so grateful for the community's continued investment into this tradition, especially during the pandemic. And while the list of everyone who makes Buggy possible is immeasurable, we specifically want to thank the following groups who helped to make this all possible. Thank you so much for joining us, Buggy fans. We hope you enjoyed this celebration of the sport, and we really hope that we'll be able to see you all in person, healthy, lined up on Tech, Frew, and Flagstaff Hill in 2022 for race day.